each senior kit is costing you, we took a median number of those 4 kits, and those 4 kits that I showed you in the previous slide, the median number is $1,256.83. So if you're buying that amount of product, that gets the person senior kit qualified, right? Well, you collected from that new person $1,200, $300 plus $300 plus $300 plus $300 for a total of $1,200. Additionally, if you're an experienced builder, you likely put your new builders in one leg, and so you would have gotten a $400 team commission, 10% of your lesser leg. If you put them in the other leg, if you're a brand new person and you split it between 2 legs, it would be a $200 team commission. Either way, it's going to be significantly less than the number that we're going to talk about down here. If the payout is $100 per share, which, by the way, we anticipate that will be close. Last week, I think it was $99.75. And if we're putting people in at 1,000 points instead of 400 points, the pool is growing at a much faster rate, and so the pool will be bigger. But if it's $3,200, then you're getting a check for $3,200 plus team commission at $400 plus a $1,200 from the $300 that you collected from the 4 people, plus your first order bonuses on each of these kits is $40 for $160, and the total that you would collect under those circumstances is $4,960. Now, if you would have purchased all of the senior kits, that would have been $5,027. So you'd be $67.32 light, $67.32 light, but you would have received $3,800 in product. Anybody in their right mind would do that because you're paying $70 to get $3,800 in product. When we first got started in this business, we were giving out $30 bottles of juice to everybody. That got really, really expensive. But all the people on this call are intending to build this business really fast, and you've got to have products to sample with people. How much more quickly will your business grow if you're capable of giving out products that cost you very, very little to achieve to achieve some sample growth that would have cost you $30 a bottle to give out juice at that rate? All in all, it's a very good win-win situation for both the company and for you and for your distributors and for your business. And so the slide that I'm showing you now is kind of how we look at the whole upgrading philosophy. We encourage people and educate the new people, the new distributor, that the best level to enroll in is the 1,000-point order. If they can't fund the entire 1,000-point order, then you may decide, emphasis on may, that you may decide you want to upgrade them to a senior kit status. If you do that, we have some proposals for new prospects that if you accept so much money from them, you can order this amount of product for them. These are just samples or just examples for you to look at. The way we have done this with collecting money from them, we can either collect it by check, and I've done that myself a number of times. They've written me a check, and I've put it on my card. If you have the Square register that you can slip into the top of your telephone or slip into your iPad, you can swipe their card. And if you swipe their card, in order to create that on your iPad, it asks for your routing number and your account number, and it deposits the money directly into your account, and then you can make the purchase for them. Some people didn't get in time. You can either collect money from them, collect cash from them, or swipe the card. If there's someone that's at a distance, the program also allows you to manually enter their information over the phone, and you can accept their card that way. And these are 3 examples that you could use to charge their card, and these are the kind of products that they could purchase for the amount of money that we're talking about. And so if you're going to go down that path, then there is a document in your document library that we recommend that you obtain. If you go to your virtual office, under VO Tools, there's a drop-down that says Document Library. And under the Document Library, there is an authorization form. And when you talk about authorization form, this is the form. And this form gives the person, the new distributor, gives you consent to charge his card for an amount of money that you two agree on, and allows him to get into the business at a senior kit level. Now, one of the things that's really good about that is after he's qualified at a senior kit, and you get Joe Schmo a $4,000 check or a $3,200 check or a check in some amount, then you can go back to him the next week and say, hey, guess what? If the other guy I put in the business the same time I put you in the business, when we put him in the business, he got a $3,000, but we did the extra effort. We went that extra 9 yards and got you senior kit qualified. So now if you go find 4 people, you're set to get the same kind of rewards that he got. And frequently, we found people who were marginally interested in the business who ultimately became very interested in the business because they, A, saw someone else be successful, and B, were already senior kit qualified and ready to run. So those are some considerations when you're trying to advance your group and advance your business. So between now and either Las Vegas or Atlanta, whichever you're attending, we're suggesting, and I originally reached out to leaders within our group, and I looked down and thought, what is a reasonable rank advancement for this person given his position in the tree, given how much rollover he has, given his effectiveness historically, his commitment historically, what's reasonable for this person? And I called them down in depth. As soon as I got back from Hawaii, we got back on Friday, I set up phone calls for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and I had 9 conference calls where I went through this routine that I'm going through with each of you and said, hey, getting you to gold by Vegas is very realistic. Let's see if we can make that happen. Getting you to diamond by Vegas is very realistic. Let's see if we can make that happen. And we went down and we set out a plan for those individuals. And we looked in the tree, we found out what their rollover was, and we looked at their best 2 or 3 weeks. If it's a 2-week qualification for rank advancement, look at their authorship and saw, well, what is your best 2 weeks? Let's focus on hitting those ranks in those 2 weeks. If it's a 3-week qualification, if the rank that they're shooting for is a 3-week qualification, let's look at those 3 weeks. And then they were encouraged to draw out their groups and to solicit a commitment from each of them. Now, the criteria, if you're like us, we sponsored a bunch of people into the business, and there are people along the way that we really adore in this business and we really like working with. And there are other people along the way that maybe we don't have such an affection for. And so we chose people to run for that higher rank based on certain characteristics. Did they have good, strong character and a proper attitude, a positive attitude? Were they honest? Were they disciplined? Did they do what they say they were going to do? Were they cooperative? Are they the type of person that kept their promises? Were they goal setters? Do they have a purpose? Were they willing to see a goal through? If they occupy several of those characteristics, then that's the person that we focus on and say, we're going to make sure you run like crazy to Vegas or Atlanta to make sure that you achieve a rank. And then we look from a quality standpoint is, did they have historically a high level of activity, and did they have historically a high level of effectiveness? And I just put it to them and said, listen, I'm willing to work with you to achieve these ranks if you're committed. But if you can't commit, then I can't take away time that I'm spending with others to get them to get you to a higher rank. So kind of a commitment, but kind of a blunt commitment that said, and it's not that, hey, I don't want to work with you if you're not going to do this. It's, I've got to take time from somebody else to help you do this, but I'm willing to do this because I believe in you. And because I believe in you, I think that you can achieve something here. But don't get me committed to you if you're not committed to the task. Are you in or are you not? And if we accomplish those kinds of commitments up front based on those criteria, and those criteria aren't criteria that Mike McCormick came up with. Those are criteria that Jim and Sandy came up with, that Humble and Karen came up with, that we've seen proven in the field. And those are the kinds of characteristics that really worked. And then I guess the final key is don't forget that signing them up is not the end story. You got to go back and backfill. There is going to be a significant drop-off in your volume once those 1,000-point kits hit, because the very next month it's unlikely and unreasonable to expect that somebody's going to be able 1,000 points of auto ship. It's just not likely to happen. So there will be a significant drop. If your drop is 80%, then you've done nothing but a flash in the pan, because you spiked your volume by virtue of getting their first check, and that was the end of it. The Jeep helps us in as much as to get qualified for the Jeep and remain qualified for the Jeep, they have to get 8,000 points continuously each month to get their payment on the Jeep. So it's not something that they can just take their money grab and go home. They have to 8,000 every month. So that will encourage them to stay qualified. But additionally, you'll encourage them to stay qualified, because you'll want them to, A, achieve something so that the people in the downline get that 20% kick. But B, you'll want them to help the people in their group accomplish what you think can be accomplished. So in the numbers in our organization, as Corbin mentioned, if they would have dropped to 80%, it would have been a problem. But they only dropped about half of that. So we grew like crazy. Because from before the time that this started, you see a 40% uptick in volume, even though the volume dropped from its peak down. It's going to have to drop from its peak, because it's unreasonable to think that a 1,000-point auto ship is going to follow a 1,000-point initial order. But if you have more people participating in it, then it jumps up. And so the overall volume has increased. The belief level has increased incredibly, and the excitement and enthusiasm has increased incredibly. And so I kind of leave this conference to you after 50 minutes of this by saying I hope that you all run like mad. I hope you all carry this enthusiasm that I have and this passion that I have, passion that I'm sure Corbin has, and Kevin and Emily and Dan and Miranda and others in their organization have, back to the field and do something really exciting for Christmas and help people overcome their stress, their financial stress, help them overcome their physical stress, help them achieve something in this business that they haven't been able to achieve to this time. And when it's all said and done, we can all raise the tide, and all of our boats will float a little bit higher. I thank you all for listening to me tonight. I don't know if Corbin is still on. Corbin is still on. Corbin, would you like to wrap up?
I'm still on, Mike. Thank you so much for doing this. We really, really appreciate it, everybody. I've been getting a lot of texts from people, and they're just so excited about hearing what the message is. And I just want to thank you again for doing this. Again, we're not part of your register, but we appreciate all that you've done. And, guys, this call is recorded, so I will get a link out to that in the next few days so you can go back and listen to it and put it in some people's hands. And then also, do not forget, it's so important to go to these events, this Atlanta event, January, I believe, 2nd and 3rd, and then Vegas, January 16th and 17th. Pick one, go to it. Holly and I are going to be at both. I believe Mike's going to be at both, and a lot of the leaders will be at both. But go to the one you can, and we're going to take this thing by storm. So, Mike, thanks again. We appreciate it. Everybody, good night. We'll talk soon. Bye.